Hey everyone, I'm here with Mr. Cony Hunley, Smoky Mountain Blue-Eyed, I believe what they call you.
That's what Ralph Emery called me way back when. I don't know how he came up with it. I don't know why he came up with it, but he did, and he did, and it stuck. I remember the first time he introduced me on Nashville Now, and that was it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Smoky Mountain Blue-Eyed Darling. I thought, where in the world did he get that? And he never did tell me.
That was my first question. Do you still feel like a darling?
Oh, no. You mean like on Andy Griffith?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like bluegrass.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of family from Union County, Sharps Chapel.
I do.
Do you still feel a special connection?
I do. I remember going up there when I was a kid. God, cousins everywhere. And playing in the barns, and I can remember. I don't know if you ever heard what one, but a straw tick. That's what you slept on up there, and I remember that when I was a kid. But yeah, I mean Luttrell, Sharps Chapel, Battle Branch, you name it. I hung out up there a lot. Had a lot of great friends and family, of course. Churches up there, the Church of God's, we went to church up there quite a bit. So, yeah, I've got a long history with Union County. I love Union County.
Yeah, I mean, Chet Atkins, born out in Luttrell, Roy Acuff.
Yeah,
what were they putting in the water up there, you think?
I don't know, whatever it was, it worked. But I remember when I was in service, I was always a big Chet Atkins fan, and I loved thumb style picking. And a lot of the guys when I was in service with, I told them, I said, I spent a lot of time in Luttrell up there. Well, one of them had a album cover of Chet Atkins on the railroad tracks in front of the depot there at Luttrell. And I said, I know right where it's at. Been right there 100 times. They said, nah, you ain't. So I came home on leave when I went up there and took a picture and took it back and showed her. Said, well, you have been, ain't you? I said, yeah, they didn't believe me.
Yeah. And so you've got, the show coming up at the Opry, May 4th. Just ahead of that show, how do you approach putting together a set list? How do you weave in gospel, Ray Charles, your own music? How do you put that together?
Well, just kind of, I played there the last time, and you kind of go with what you felt like the audience appreciated from that show, but then you try to change it up too. I don't want to do exactly the same show. And so there's stories about songs, about episodes in my life, and stuff that I'll talk about that's will be different than what it was the last time. But yeah, you just kind of sit around and get ideas about what you want to talk about and what you want to sing.
And you've obviously got a lot of stories. You've met, Mickey Mantle, Ray Charles, all these people. You've had a lot of success yourself. I mean, is there ever a random Tuesday where you just kind of think, holy crap?
No, well, when I stop and think about it, I really don't think about any of those stories or anything too much. But when I stop and think about it, and I think about my early career and the great people and artists that I've been able to meet, it's a little. I said, here's a little old guy from Fountain City, 4412 Mac Lane down there, shotgun house. When you stop and think about it, I won't say it's overwhelming, but it certainly is gratifying to have been able to meet all those people and to do all that stuff.
Well, speaking of overwhelming, the game of golf. My wife just got some golf clubs. I need you to let her know how much she's about to start cussing when she gets out there on the course.
Well, bless your heart if you bought clubs, and it's a sport that once you get started, you're not going to give it up. I mean, people play it until they just can't play it anymore. I mean, if you looked at the Masters this year, Jack Nicklaus there, what is he, 87 or something like that, and he's still trying to hit that tee ball. I mean, once it gets in your blood, it's almost like music. There's no getting rid of it. But one thing about golf is it's a great release. You have to think about what you're doing, and if you're thinking about what you're doing on the golf course, you're not muddying up with everything else. Yeah.
So what's harder, reading a green or riding a hit?
Well, I mean, who knows what a hit is? Reading the Greens are pretty difficult, but I think writing a hit, it's right up there. So I don't think I've ever written a monster hit, but I've recorded a lot of songs from people who have written monster hits. So yeah, but reading the Green, it can be tough, especially if there's a lot of undulation.
Yeah, especially down there at Whittle Springs too.
Yeah.
So some of your, they may not be quote unquote monster hits, but your songs still get played. What is it about a good song that still gets it played, 50 years later, 30 years later,
Well,
whatever?
I think a good song is just like what Ron and I were talking about earlier. A good song is a good song is a good song. When you listen to Patsy Cline, Willie Nelson hit Crazy. I mean, who can't still relate to that? And so I'm really proud of the fact that most of the songs that I've recorded stand up. People relate to it. It touches somebody in some way, and that's what music is all about to me. It's speaking from here, my heart to your heart, or whomever, So.
Yeah, and well, I think one of those songs would be "Hollow Man."
Yeah.
I know you sort of connected with it. I guess if you could just maybe tell a little bit more about your connection with that, and maybe somebody going through something similar to what you went through, and how maybe music can help with those things.
Well, I mean, everybody has their ups and downs in life, and if you get down so far, you either sink or swim. And if you're fortunate enough to swim, then you have a great appreciation for where you were, And when I heard Hollow Man, I was up at Kim Williams' house up on Clinch Mountain one time, and he said, "Here's a song I just wrote with Steve Gully." And he said, "I'll see what you think about it." And so he played the song, and I just started crying. And I said, "That song's about me." And I said, "What are you going to do with the song?" And he said, "Well, after seeing the way it touched you, it's your song. You go cut it." And I did, and I get a lot of requests for it. And I'll be singing it Saturday night at the Union County Opry. I look forward to everybody coming out, and hope to see everybody there. And we'll be telling stories about Union County and childhood. Some of them won't be told, but we'll be having a good time.
And while I'm thinking about it, before I forget, Danny Cook told me to ask you something. If you get recognized at Lowe's and Home Depot.
Yeah, Home Depot. Yeah. I like to piddle, and I do a little carpenter work here and there, and I built a she shed for my wife. And when I finished up with the project, I tried to go out and buy everything I thought I was going to need to build it. And when I finished up with the project, I had some stuff left over, so I was going to take it back to Home Depot and either get a refund or get some credit. And I loaded it all up. Of course, I had all my old carpenter clothes and the old hat and sawdust everywhere. And I went over there and put it on the cart and pushed it in, and the ladies there at the service desk said, "Can I help you?" I said, "Well, I got some stuff here." I got some stuff here that I'd either like to get a refund on or credit, because I don't want it just lay out there at the house and rot, And she said, "Well, let's see what you got." And so she goes around there and she's looking. She said, "You got your receipt?" "Yeah." I gave it to her. She said, "Anybody ever tell you look like Cony Hunley?" And I said, "Well, I've heard that a time or two." And she said, "Well, you sure do." And so she's going on and she's clicking tags and what have you. And she said, "I sure like that song you had out called Old Girl." I said, "Well, from what I hear, it was a pretty big song for him." And I wasn't being smart or anything. I just thought, well, let's see where this goes. And so she's finishing up the receipt, and under my breath I start singing, "Oh, girl, I'd be in trouble if you left me now, 'cause I don't know where to look for love." And she said, "That's good, but that ain't no Cony Hunley." So There's your Home Depot story.
There's the Home Depot
And
store.
I signed it. You have to sign the receipt.
Yeah.
I signed it, and I don't know if she ever looked at it or not, but I about busted a gut before I got to the car because it was so funny. It was just so real and so funny.
Well, if y'all want to go out and see that performance at the Union County Opry, he will be out there May 4th. So we're going to get a little soul, little gospel,
A little everything.
little everything.
A little soul, a little gospel, a little rock, and just a little bit of everything. So, Seth, I appreciate you taking the time, man. I really do. And pleasure to meet you. And Brianna, nice meeting you too. And thanks for bringing up Hollow Man. That's a special song for me.